Om Shanti. Good morning to all the angels. Can you hear me okay?
Om Shanti.
Yes.
Om
Thank you.
Shanti.
Shanti.
Om Shanti.
Yes.
Shanti. How is everyone?
Good. Om Shanti.
Om Shanti. Om Shanti.
Om Shanti. Very well. Thank you.
Om Shanti. Om Shanti. Great. So we can have just a little hello from everyone who has joined. Let's see. Okay. Great. Yeah. So very warm welcome. So can you see my screen here?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Great. So it's going to be interactive, and please feel free to ask questions, or you can even type them up in the chat box. Today we take up this subject of being a detached observer. Maybe we can mute our mics when we are not speaking. That way, everyone can be. So the thought was to take up this subject of being a detached observer. And see, right now, the times are such that they're signaling us anyways to be more and more detached. We're all detached from the external world. We're all in our comfort zones, in our real, spaces, home spaces. And this is the time to let go of the physical, let go of the external, to be detached, and then just observe myself. It's a really beautiful time that life has given us to observe myself, to go into silence, reflection, introspection. And so today the thought is that we'll explore and learn together more on this subject. Just like in this image over here, this little child is seeing everything from up above, seeing the same thing that so the city is there, but the perspective is from up above. And so in essence, it's the child is detached from this the material world, and the perspective is from the beyond, and so we'll together see how to create that perspective from beyond, not to be caught up in the story, in the drama, but to have this feeling of seeing everything from above, just like we did in the meditation. So there is a staircase, we're taking our consciousness upwards, and what we see from up above is very different from what we see down below. We all want to go into an airplane and take a ride, and I always like when the plane takes off and everything is just we're leaving behind everything down below, and we are going up, flying up above. And so detached observer is kind of creating that perspective where I'm flying up above the drama, the story of this life, and connecting with something which is very, very deep, very, very deep. And just like when we fly up above, there is so much silence. There's no noise of the physical. So in this space, there's a lot of silence. And when there is silence, our real nature, our real self automatically emerges. Okay, so let's try and go deeper into what do we mean by being detached, what do we mean by being observer, and how to create that consciousness. So this says that everything in the world is relative, and only that is absolute. Means the absolute is only the idea or the understanding that everything is relative. You know, when we were growing up in physics, we used to learn about relative velocity. We would say the classical example would be that if I'm sitting in a train and the train is moving, but if I'm sitting in the train and there is nothing, no surrounding, everything is still outside, meaning there's no change in the scenery, then I would just feel that I'm still. Or if the windows are closed, I'll feel that I'm in stillness. But if I'm standing outside, then I will feel there's a lot of speed. Right? So what I'm experiencing is relative to my frame of reference. So in life also, what I'm experiencing in my mind is relative to where my frame of reference is. And so being detached observer means really is that let my frame of reference shift from the story world, the drama world, the movie world, into the silence world, into the real world, into the eternal world. So if I base my identity, if I base my frame of reference in the story, then as the scenes of the story change, and now is the time when we see on a daily basis, scenes will keep on changing, then I'll feel a lot of turbulence, I'll feel a lot of speed with which things are changing, and then I'll feel that my thoughts are very fast, and then I'll feel that sense of, because fast thoughts lead to stress, anxiety, fear. Um, uh, if I change my frame of reference to my eternal reality and not the superficial story level, then once I see things from that perspective, then then eternity is silent. And from that perspective, I'll see that everything which is happening in the story, in the drama, has a meaning, is for a purpose. Just like today we were discussing in the morning about newness and creativity. So the more my frame of reference is in the eternal, then I start to automatically see the positive in everything. It's not that I have to make effort to see the positive or make effort to observe the invisible, but automatically my vision will fall on that. Like Einstein's, we all know the Einstein's theory of relativity, right? So which means that everything is relative. Like right now they say we're all standing, sitting still, but the earth is moving at a speed of more than 1,000 or so miles an hour. But we don't feel anything, right? We are just sitting very quietly here because our frame of reference is earth. So just by mere shift in my reference, in my point of reference, I can really very easily gain control of my mind and my thoughts. So looking at everything in life as relative. And the real reference point, the being who is always silent, always compassionate, always kind, always unconditionally loving, is the Supreme Being. And when I shift my frame of reference to what the Supreme Being is seeing. See, in Einstein's theory of relativity, even time is relative. The concept of time is also relative. So in this world, we'll see time going past very, very quickly. But in the from another dimension, time may not be moving very fast. And that's why there is a concept of day and night, which is a different duration for different planets. So everything is relative. So the absolute truth, which is the mind of God. When I base my reference to the mind of God, then I'll feel that I'm talking to God on that level. Today we were discussing how God becomes the friend of our mind. So we're able to relate to God as a friend. So if you see this slide, it's about something which we call as the observer effect. It says there is no absolute out there unless there is mind in here that perceives it. Out there depends on what is in here and how I am perceiving out there. And this is called observer effect, which says that there is no reality until that reality is perceived. So the only thing that is real is the one who is perceiving or observing. This profound insight tells us that we alter every object in the world simply by paying attention to it. What is out there depends on what we choose to look for. What is out there depends on what we choose to look for. So in other way, this is clearly tells us that it's mind over matter. And this observer effect changed dramatically the way we looked at science, from classical physics to quantum physics. Right? What quantum physics told the scientists is the way electrons behave changes by the way you look at them. So they behave, or light, they say light behaves either as waves or particles, depending on the way you look at it. So the very consciousness or the act of observing has an impact on a subatomic level. And we all talk about not giving power to the world through our thoughts. In Hindi, the word is sakash, or it's about cooperating everyone through our mind, doing service through the mind. It really what it means is I choose to stay with my mind as an observer in the eternal. And when I do that, then automatically the physical has an impact. The physical needs the original vibrations of the soul. We're all observers now. We are all observers. But there is a slight difference between the observer and the thinker, observer and the actor. Observer just is. Observer is like a witness, like a witness. I'm just observing like a witness. So the very act of observing from an eternal perspective So what is the eternal perspective? Eternal perspective is that we are all souls, we are all spiritual beings, we're all eternal travelers through time, that there is a place that is, there's a dimension that is beyond the physical, beyond the space, beyond the time. That's the dimension of silence, where the supreme being, we can feel the presence of the divine. So this is the eternal perspective. All of us are these tiny beings of light. So the moment I switch my consciousness, my awareness to that eternal observer, I'll see that whatever is surrounding, it will start to have an impact. Vibrations will change. And so it's a very real effect, scientific effect, observer effect. What do I choose to observe? If I choose to observe the weakness in someone, then that weakness will be further increased. If I choose to look at the goodness in someone, then the goodness will increase. If I choose to look at the positive amidst all the upheaval that is happening right now, then that positive would be reinforced. So we as observers have a very important role to play. Initially, see, all the science, the way it developed was, science was all about learning about the external world, the processes, the phenomena of nature, of how things work, how to make things work. But now science is also moving towards the subtle, towards the observer. So the more we practice, the more we'll be very easily able to shift things around us, impact positively, just by observing from that divine eternal perspective. So this image here, it shows that our anxiety is self-inflicted. Why it is self-inflicted? It's shown a person and a cloud. So a person is trying to chase a cloud. So what happened was with this person was very, very happy, and he went in outside in his garden, and he saw a beautiful piece of cloud right above him. And he was like, wow, this is so beautiful. Let me go inside and take a camera, bring my camera and take a picture of it. The moment he came back, he saw that the cloud disappeared. And now suddenly that feeling of happiness changed into sorrow, disappointment. So he became disappointed because he was chasing after or observing something which is bound to change. So everything in this physical world is bound to change. So the moment I create even the slightest attachment to this box that is unpredictable, and the only thing constant is change, I am deemed to anxiety, fear. So that's why it is saying self-inflicted anxiety. And we create it so many times and in so many ways in our life. And we're all experienced in that. So what is the other option? What is the other option? The other option is, suddenly when I realize that how being detached, being an observer has such an important role to play. I realize that I can see things from a different perspective. So there's another option, which is detached observer. So what is the attitude of a detached observer? Uh, uh, so he sees the physical world like a story, the world drama stage. World drama stage. A story is always changing. A story has comedy, a story has tragedy, a story has thrilling moments, suspense. And that is what this entire story, not only the world story, but even the story of the role that I am playing, is based on. So the entire physical world is like a story. And this whole world is like a drama stage. And we're all actors playing this role. And so for the detached observer, what does he do? He sees this world not to chase after it. It sees this world not to create attachments to it, but as a detached observer, from the lens of a detached observer. So if you see this little spectacle here, and behind it is this observer, the point. So just seeing the same thing from a detached perspective. And by detached, what we mean really is freedom, free. By detached, it doesn't really mean that we're ignoring something or someone. But detached is more like I'm free in my mind because I choose to look at the eternal. I choose to look at the real. And from this lens, what I see, this lens is outside the drama. There is silent bliss. It's eternal. There is no sorrow. Why there is no sorrow? Because there is no expectation. There's no expectation. I just feel the beauty in everything. I cherish the positivity in everything. It is a real world. It is subtle, non-physical. There is supreme peace. There's supreme peace. So just, if we take a few moments right now and just feel that whatever has happened in my story over the last few days or few weeks, I create a perspective which is the perspective of a detached observer. I choose to ground my awareness, my consciousness into the reality which is behind the mask, behind the task. And from this reality, the reality of the soul, I feel that I am this point of light, eternal light. I'm detached from this story. I see the entire story as a stage, on a stage. Even the role that I'm playing, far distant. And I just observe my thoughts right now, without judging, without commenting. Just a movie is playing, all the scenes are coming, and I'm just observing without interfering, without getting emotionally involved in it. I'm just seeing it from a third person's perspective, as if that movie belongs to someone else. And just by observing, I come to realize that all that I'm seeing, witnessing right now in front of my mind's eye, all those scenes are just scenes. It's a movie, the story of my life. And I, the actor who's involved in that scene, is just a being of light, just a tiny, tiny being of light. And let me now sit back and be in my comfort zone of beyond any scene, just as a being of light, a soul, in my dimension of silence, where everything is eternal, everything is blissful, there's no need to fix anything. Every being here is pure and divine. And I just create that visual in my mind of that eternal reality. In the moment I create that experience, I begin to feel what is there within me, within the observer. The observer is light, the observer is kind, the observer is generous, the observer is pure, innocent. And when I come back into the story, what I carry is those original impressions of the observer. Shanti. So when we say detached observer, right? So detached from illusion. And when I'm detached from illusion, I'm attached to reality. Or when I'm attached to reality, I'm automatically detached from illusion. The moment I realize that it is illusion, I automatically detach from it. It just needs this understanding, recognition. Oh, it is an illusion. It has, the moment I recognize illusion, the illusion loses power on me. That's the spiritual law. The moment I recognize that this is illusion, that's what we call, right? All the vices and weaknesses, it's all darkness, illusion. The moment I recognize it, it doesn't have power on me. Oh. The moment I just observe it. So the practice is just to observe, observe. And this is the central practice, the very first practice in meditation. To observe, observe, observe. Because if I don't observe, then I give life to the illusion. I give life to the illusion. The illusion is not living, but I'm creating, I'm giving life to it by thinking about it. So the reality is that everything is perfect, everyone is perfect, I am perfect. That's the reality. Here we just look into these words. So when we say detached observer, right, detached observer, the opposite of it would be attached absorber. Detached, the opposite of detached is attached, and the opposite of observer is absorber. So if I'm not observing, I am absorbing. So let's look at what an attached observer experiences. So an attached absorber. So the consciousness is based in the drama. The consciousness is based in the story. And the story has past, future, and present. So the mind will be either thinking about the memories, nostalgia, or trauma of the past. So past is like a projection. So these three are like three projectors, right? Constantly projecting images, sounds, experiences in my mind, right? So the past has memories, nostalgia, trauma. Future, I'll think about my goals, desires, fears. Even the present, I will constantly judge and constantly comment or worry about it. So that's the attached observer.
Sorry, Om Shanti.
Om Shanti.
Sorry, I had a question. The judging, commenting, this is judging ourselves or judging others or both?
Could be both. That's right. Could be both. Sometimes we judge others, which is really about absorbing, which is really the consciousness of ego. Right? The moment I start to judge, I question the perfection of drama. I question the perfection of the story. The story is perfect. And judging myself, I mean, judging in terms of self-reflection is good, but also constantly, maybe I did this, was not right, I did this, was right. That also brings me into the drama, brings me into the state of absorbing.
Yeah.
So if I look at the image, right, so ego, the door is closed. And the experience is like a whirlpool. Everything is moving fast, fast, fast. And that is where the world outside is right now. Right? We are thinking about the future, we have the fear of the future. Even the present scenes, we judge, comment, worry, blame, right?
Right. Thank you. Yeah.
What it does is it closes the door of my mind to see the reality. That's why the door is shut. And that's why the mind feels like in a turmoil. It feels like there is a constant things are spinning around. And this leads to stress. This leads to depression, anxiety. So that's what the attached observer experiences. And the moment I base my consciousness in eternity, I become a detached observer. I see the soul, I see the goodness, beauty. I know that, so suddenly the mind is silent. So I'll, even if I look at the past from that silence perspective, so once I've silenced the mind, then I look at the past as something that I can learn from. I'll be looking at the future with the vision of hope and newness. And I'll look at the present with just enjoying it, not commenting on it, enjoying it. Just like we go to a theater to enjoy a movie. So I'll be enjoying this beautiful movie of life that is playing in front of our eyes. And so what the detached observer experiences is sweet silence. Sweet silence. The silence is filled with sweetness, fullness. Today we were reading a message that said that when there is fullness, there is stability. When the mind is full of peace, full of love, full of happiness, then nothing can shake me. Because then that mind is the mind of a detached observer. Then automatically I'm unshakable by any scene of life. Any scene of life. And then new doors open. Then I'll start to see opportunity in every problem, in every crisis. I'll start to rediscover myself, start to reinvent. Like even now, there's so much time. Like I remember like few weeks back, I was just having this internal conversation. Oh my gosh, I'm so busy. I have to go to work, drive, and then come back, and then do this, that, this, that. Whereas, although I do give time, but not to the extent that I would have wanted to myself. But now there is so much time for myself. And now the future, I know that the world is transitioning into a very beautiful new world where all of us will be fully aware as a spiritual being. And we can together create this new world. So hopeful for the future. Learning from the past. Okay, whatever happened in the past, let me learn. Let me not make the same mistakes and learn from it. Move on. And look at present as something to enjoy every moment. To enjoy my time in my own company. My own company. Let me enjoy my time. Just being with myself. Enjoying my company with my family, with my friends, with the divine, with God. Because if I'm attached absorber, I cannot connect to God. I'll only be connecting to the drama, the scenes that are changing. Only when I'm detached can I connect to God. When I'm attached to observer, I can think about connecting to God, but I won't be connecting to Him. I can think about being soul conscious. I can think about knowledge. I can think about the points, but I won't be experiencing them unless I have shifted my frame of reference to the detached observer perspective. So when I'm detached observer, everything will change around me, but I am enjoying it, and I'm silent in my mind, and my heart will be full, and heart will be filled with compassion for the self, for the nature, for the world, for everyone. And so life takes on a new meaning. Today we were discussing how new life is a life of purpose, meaning, not just wasting my life, wasting my time in ordinary things. Ordinary things are also important, but not just with an ordinary consciousness, but with a purpose, sense of purpose, a deeper sense of meaning. Living a life of meaning. So the detached observer perspective allows for the soul to see, for the soul to see, soul to see. So what happens is, if I am the attached absorber, then the ego is seeing. The soul is not seeing. Ego is seeing. And when the ego sees, then the ego sees the defects. The ego sees what is wrong. It's like a very good example is that of a king and his subjects. So just imagining a king and with all his ministers and sitting on his throne. So what is the role of a king? Every minister, every subject will play their role, but what is the role of a king is to just see everything, is to be aware of everything and then direct. Okay, you do this, you do that, because the king knows the bigger picture. No one else knows the bigger picture. So when the soul starts to see clearly, means the mind gets decluttered, then the soul can order, okay, mind, now think like this. Okay, now do this. Then suddenly nothing of the external world has any impact on me. Just like, the world of the fish inside the aquarium and the world of this little boy outside. Different. Very different. A fish is only able to see a little bit, but this boy can see everything. So suddenly, this is called what we call it self-sovereignty, or becoming a master of my mind. So how do I become a master of my mind? Just by detached observer perspective, strengthening that. So it allows for the soul to see clearly, see the real, behind the ordinary, behind the superficial, behind the artificial. And suddenly everything will start to work properly. The mind will create pure thoughts, beautiful thoughts, automatically. So the king takes the seat. When the king takes the seat, then everyone listens to the king. When the king is not on the seat, then no one listens. In the same way, when the soul is sitting on the seat of self-respect or the eternal perspective, then all the powers in the soul start to work. When there is a power to tolerate needed, that power will emerge. When power to face is needed, that power will emerge. When power to love is needed, that power will emerge. So suddenly I'll start to feel that I am the master. I'm no longer the slave. No longer the slave. It all begins with this perspective. To see, to witness. What does a witness do? A witness sees. without judging, without creating opinions. I just need to see without creating opinions. And when I do that, it's like a protective layer of God's energy all around me. Nothing can pierce that. Absorber absorbs, observer doesn't absorb. Then when I'm observer, then I absorb God. Then I can absorb the experience of the soul, experience of the divine. In a very easy way. Yeah, this image, it says that in the world, but not of the world. In the world, but not of the world. So we're all in this world. So this is the perspective of a detached observer. In this world, of course we're in this world, but not of this world. We are from the world beyond. This is called the wisdom of the detached observer. This is the option we have to live our life with. The wisdom within that I do not belong to this world. I'm not of this world. Just like if I go to my friend's house, I know that that's not my house. I'll be using everything, doing everything, but with a sense of detachment, a natural detachment. Because I know that it is not my place. So the detached observer thinks that this is my world. And someone once asked that the difference between having yoga and being a yogi. What is the difference between having yoga? Yoga is, connection with the Supreme, or being a yogi. So being a yogi lives in his world of silence as an eternal automatic experience. Enters this world and knows that I'm entering this world. And when the time comes, when the action is performed, we can go back. Whereas someone who has yoga, he feels that he belongs to this world, physical world, and trying to go to the real world of silence, then coming back, then going, then coming back. So that's the shift. That's the shift. And then life feels like, although physically we are not traveling, but internally, in the journey of life, we're all invisible tourists. We are touring. This is a tour. We are touring around on the journey of time. When we go on a vacation and we tour, then there's so much excitement, there's so much fun, looking forward to what is coming next. Okay, now we'll see this, now we'll see that. So that's the perspective, right? Tourist, I'm touring this world. I'm a guest in this world. I'm touring this world. And when I'm touring, I will automatically try to enjoy, even in the minimum of resources. I wouldn't be afraid of anything, even if the resources are not that much. I'll still try to optimize and just live. Because my sense of security is not based on that place. So this whole attitude that we are discussing right now, the attitude of a guest. So the wisdom that the guest has. What is the wisdom of the guest? The wisdom of the guest is that I have to exit. I have to exit. I'm not here forever. I have to exit. And there is a real beautiful home, world, my father, my parent, my family waiting for me. And I can be in that experience in a second in my mind. So let us now create a few moments to experience being a guest. Being a guest. So we realize that in this temporary world, we are permanent guests. We are spiritual beings, and our dimension is a dimension of light, of silence, bliss, where the experience of belonging to God is real, natural. Where the family of souls is real, where all the souls are worthy of supreme respect and love. And from this perspective, I choose to enter this story as a guest for a short time. Why am I entering? I am entering to spread this light, to share love, happiness, kindness with everyone. I'm entering this stage to have fun or entertainment. That's the perspective of the guest. I don't own anything. I don't own anyone, not even this body. I'm free. Because I don't own anything, I'm free. Free to be myself. Free to fly. And entering the story as a guest, and then also exiting the story as a guest. The story is something that is extra. I don't need it to feel safe within, feel secure within. I'm secure in my original identity as a soul, as a being of light. And I radiate feelings of warmth, love, compassion to all the fellow tourists and this play of life. Om Shanti. In Hindi, the word of guest is called mehman. And another rhyming word is mahan. So we listen to this beautiful message that says that to the extent that I consider myself to be a mehman or a guest, I will automatically become mahan, which is great. So to the extent that I practice this perspective of a guest, I'll start to feel the greatness emerge from within, the greatness of the soul. And then being a detached observer makes my life lotus-like. Lotus. So just like a lotus is detached, right? Detached, floating. There is mud, there is dirt all around it, but the lotus is detached. Just looking at the lotus makes us feel so peaceful. The lotus is floating with elegance. So I am in this world, but not of this world. Detached. Up. There's a distance. There's a distance. And to the extent that I am detached and floating, to that extent I'll have mastery over my mind. I'll feel my mind is a friend. Mind is a friend. And God is a friend. In India, they show a lot of deities. They're standing on lotus. And the reason is because their life is like a lotus. Their perspective is like a lotus. A living mind like a lotus. In the ground, in the mud, but above it. Above it. Trusty. Being a detached observer generates compassion. Compassion. Why? Why does it create compassion? Because suddenly I'm not looking at the defects of the drama. I'll feel my attitude is not to blame anyone. That it's very easy to have feelings of empathy, of compassion, of kindness, of love towards everyone. We have a senior sister, Sister Moini, who lives in New York, which is the epicenter of everything. And she sent a beautiful message which said, from Corona to Karuna. Karuna is a Hindi word for compassion. And that the world right now needs compassion. Compassion. And how can I create compassion, right? We always think, how do I create compassion? Obviously, externally, we have to help in whatever way we can. But internally, we say care for the self to care for others. So what is self-care? Self-care is being detached. And that compassion fills the mind with such feelings of bliss that it kind of just overflows, and the compassion will just radiate in the world. God is the most compassionate being in this world, right? God. Why is he compassionate? Why is he the most compassionate? Because he's the most detached. He's just observing from a distance. always detached. Is this Shubhraben said just leaving now? Don't know if you're there, Shubhraben. You can say a few words.
Om Shanti Bhaiya.
Om Shanti, Shubhraben. Welcome. Welcome.
Well, Bhaiya, it was such an amazing class. I know it's still continuing. I
Thank
have a
you.
few classes to take care of also. So I was just thinking, I'll take your leave and you will see me on a regular basis here.
Thank you for
Maybe you
connecting.
can also
Shubhraben.
please do a class or two for Ohio students. We would
Thank
love to see you do some of those things because you're just so good.
Thank
Amazing. Thank you, Bhaiya.
Thank you for your
All
presence,
the
divine
best.
presence and blessings. Shubhraben is our dear angel who manages all the activities in the state of Ohio, also in Kentucky, and very pure heart, always filled with good wishes. So it's very good that we are discussing this slide on compassion because we feel her heart is always filled with compassion.
Bhaiya, I was talking to one of the students today, and I'll just say a line for you that you are just reflecting, you're just being the mirror, like Baba says, that when you see qualities in others, it's a reflection on you. So, yes, you are full of compassion and beauty of the spirit, and that is what you see in others. So, thank you. And of course, we've known each other for so long that it's a great, what do you call? I was looking for that word and I don't know, but it's a great, company in the next door state of Indiana, where I feel you have been such an instrument and such a big help. And I really feel that you need to come here more often and give us some, wisdom of Baba and your own wisdom also.
We're all,
You're full of it and
definitely.
beauty.
We would love for you to join and share your thoughts also with us.
Absolutely, Bhaiya. Absolutely. We'll do that.
Thank
And
you.
I'll take your leave. I'm
Sure.
sorry we
No
just
problem. Yeah,
got
we
this in the
understand.
middle. Thank you. Om
Thank
Shanti,
you.
Bhaiya.
Om Shanti. Thank you, Shubhraben. And we see a message from Rinku Ben. Yeah, Rinku Ben, if someone wants to join, they're most welcome to. You can just share the link with them and they can join. Yeah,
Thank you, Brother Saurabh.
thank you. Sorry, I just saw the message. Yeah, I think you sent it a few minutes back.
That's okay. Thank you.
So to the extent that I'm able to hold onto the consciousness of a detached observer, I can deepen my relationship with God, the divine. Many times we feel that, yoga is not happening or there's some obstacle or obstruction. The effort that I need to make at that time is just to again and again and again shift my awareness to being a detached observer. So I'm observer of the drama and absorber of God. Then the mind can be filled with God's unlimited treasures, unlimited peace, unlimited love, unlimited happiness, bliss. It all becomes a natural experience. So I don't have to make effort to it. Natural, just observing the drama, not interacting. Everything is good, everyone is good. And I'm just absorbing that love coming from God. And the more I do that, then this mind can be used as God's instrument. And God can use our minds to spread peace in the world. Just as anything that is subtle is so powerful, even the infection so subtle is so powerful, so that energy from God is so subtle. And that energy needs a host. Let me become a host for God's energy. For God's energy. Now we are taking precaution not to be a host of the infection, the virus. So we are guests in this physical world, and we are hosts to Baba's, to God's energy. And so then God can use our mind to radiate light of love and peace in the world. Just like a sun, right? Just like a sun. And that's what the world needs right now. And that's what all of us need right now. So when we've all taken a ride, right? On a train. Right? So when we are riding a train, then we are witnessing the scenes around us, and we're just very, very, happy just to see. And when I was a kid, I grew up in India. I always used to look forward to these train rides. And we would it was like a picnic. We would take food and we would just look, okay, which city has come now, and then, which river is now this river. And every scene was beautiful. And we would just wave at people, and, and that's what life is, a train journey. Right? So to be detached from the scenes. So if I'm detached in the scene, I can enjoy the scene. That's what the message is. If I'm attached to the scene, I lose my sense of self-respect there. When I'm detached, I'm easily able to enjoy everything in life. Even this scene, even if there is a not so good scene, or there is maybe some foul smell coming, even if I'm in a train, what do? We just shut off the window. We say, okay, we'll open it after some time. We don't become scared because we know the train is moving. A new scene will come. The same with the story of life. Right? Every scene is beautiful. Every scene is created to give me happiness. A movie is created to give for entertainment of the observer. So we are observers, and the story of life has been created to give us happiness, entertainment. Let us just be entertained by it. Cha, Om Shanti. With that, we'll just take a moment in silence, and then would like to hear from everyone their thoughts and any questions or any other thoughts. So let's just take a moment in silence as we recalibrate ourselves as a detached observer. Just flying up above this drama of life. Into my eternal security, safety, eternal love of the divine, feelings of friendship with the divine. Let him take charge of my life. Let me absorb his loving presence. As I come back to this physical world, filled with enthusiasm,
has been really enlightening for me, because I've discovered and learned that to look at detachment not as being understood from a psychological perspective. And I think that's why we get kind of confused about and scared, and we shouldn't detach, and how can we still be loving and be detached, that whole thing. Having a psychological background myself, that's how I viewed this detachment. But I never, before today, saw or understood that detachment is actually a part of our original nature, that it's actually, one of God's powers. It's from God.
Very nice. Yeah.
And it just so happens that I've been reading the teachings of Daddy, and I was right into this page here where page 60, where she says that understand that you are a soul whose original nature is like the Father's, wise, detached, and loving. And see, I've never seen detachment from that perspective. So when I see it from that perspective, it's actually a quality from God. Then I don't have this confusion about how can I be loving but detached from someone. Because when I'm detached, I can actually be more loving because I'm allowing God's divine love to flow through me to whoever's in front of me.
Beautiful. I think that's very beautifully said, Joy. Thank you. That's exactly what it is. Yeah. Beautiful.
Shanti.
Om Shanti, Archana. Yeah.
I would like to just quote two examples. Attachment, we can consider it as a kite which is tied to a thread and flying high, but being controlled at the same time. Whereas detachment can be like an eagle flying very high in the sky and able to have a clear vision or view below.
Very nice.
And I wanted to add something when we are talking about attachment and detachment. Like I just remember the face of Baba, those who have done Baba Milan. अंत में जब बाबा जाते हैं तो जो बाबा का I don't know, I remember the face of Baba कि बाबा कितने detached होते हैं. And he loves all his children. और बीच बीच में अगर कोई announcement भी हो रहा है और बाबा बोल रहे हैं तो बाबा won't get disturbed.
Yeah.
अगर हम हैं तो हम 100% disturbed हो जाएंगे.
That's true. Yeah, to the extent of detachment. So what Rachna Ben is sharing is, for those who may not understand Hindi or those who are new, is we have these spiritual meetings where when the meeting is about to over, you feel a sense of, that detachment of living. So beautiful amidst of all the things that are happening, but the face of being detached is so beautiful. Nice. Very nice. Yeah.
Hi.
Hello. Yeah, hi.
Yeah, I am Sudhir. Thanks a lot. I
Thank
truly enjoyed your session.
Thank you.
And I truly thank the other people too who have enlightened us with, see, one thing always comes up, even in internal, when I am at home or anywhere, when I understand probably the meaning of detachment, but, when we are trying to implement, I guess the very word detachment creates thoughts which are very different, actually. So I think the opposite of attachment is not detachment. It should be love.
Very nice. Very beautiful. Yeah. Absolutely. And as you said, detachment is, it could be perceived as something which is kind of getting away from, things or people, but it's more like love, freedom. It's like expressions of the soul, It's like I'm not bound. I'm not in bondage. I'm not in sorrow. I'm free. I'm happy. That's what it is. Yeah. Very nice.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sudhir. Is that Divya Ben? Om Shanti Divya Ben? Can we listen? Can we hear from you? Divya Ben from Michigan has joined. Is that Divya Ben from Michigan? Can feel free to unmute your mic if you want to share thoughts. Yeah. Anyone? Yes, Divya Ben. I think she's. Yes, Om Shanti Divya Ben.
Om Shanti. Are you able to listen to me?
Yes, 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 yes.
Oh, okay. Um, yeah. I'm just new and I'm just listening right now, absorbing everything.
Sure, sure. Thank you.
So
Thank you.
yeah, it's really good. Your class and your thoughts about wisdom and detached observer.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This is Sister Kim,
Om Shanti.
Om Shanti. Hello, Sister Kim. Om Shanti.
I put the and the that you made of being a detached observer makes my life lotus-like, and we know that a lotus is so beautiful floating on the water, even though we know it's growing out of mud, the dirty, murky mud. But looking at it, it's just so peaceful and floating and detached from where it is. So I like that illustration, and that's the one I'm going to focus on and keep in my mind when I'm in my daily life, and I need to focus and be a detached observer.
Beautiful. Very nice. Thank you, Sister Kim. Sister Kim is from Michigan. She has joined us. Thank you. Very nice. And was it Sonam, Sister Sonam, who wanted to share? Welcome.
Om Shanti, Sarabhai.
Shanti, welcome. So good to see you after a long time. Yes.
Really wonderful class. I personally felt that I benefited in my personal situation. But I had a question, and I was wondering, like, with our connection to the Supreme Source, sometimes like obstacles come, and we may think that there is, or we may experience there is a cloud of that's kind of obstructing our connection with the Supreme. And so how would you suggest to kind of like deal with that, or so that we can have that connection that we want to have with Supreme or Baba? So
thank you.
Shanti.
Very nice.
Thank you.
Yeah. We do feel that way many times, right? But what I feel, for me, what works is, if I'm not able to connect, or if something is bothering the mind, then to just try and understand what is it that I'm attached to. Because there is obviously beneath, there's some layer of attachment that is becoming an obstruction. That attachment could be to a thought that I'm holding on to. That attachment could be a situation. That attachment could even be, even service that I'm holding on to. So if I'm able to realize what is it I'm attached to, then in that moment, just by understanding that, okay, this is what I'm attached to, and this is what it is, an illusion. And I just tell my mind, no, this attachment is not real. Because why it is not real? Because of this, because I am a soul, because everything is, for this perspective. The moment I share those thoughts with myself, then that attachment starts to go away. And then, so this is the first step, is realization. And then when I sit in meditation, So after having this realization, then I'll feel the energy coming. So the real work actually is not during meditation, but when we are in a normal life or day-to-day things, to keep the attention that let me not attach my mind, or even if I am, let me identify. I mean, we may be attached, it's not a bad thing, but it's good to identify. And the moment I identify, I become free. I allow that attachment to lose power on me, control over. And then my mind is free again. Does that answer, Solomon?
Thank you so much.
Thank
That
you.
was very helpful. Looks
You're
like we
from
have
DC,
another-
right? You're from DC?
Yes.
Welcome.
Still in Maryland, so.
Maryland.
And looks like we have a question by Aditi.
Okay, sure, yes. Hi, Aditi, thank you for your question. Said being detached is easier when we are at home and there's a lot less going on. That's true. But when we go out and do our daily things like working, meeting people, things are different. That is true. How can one maintain being detached in every situation of life, no matter what we encounter and who we meet? That's true. And it's a journey. I mean, it takes time, and I think the basic underlying principle is the same. To look at every situation as something to learn from, and then move forward. I think for me, uh, if I just look at each day, every day, as a unique experience. So I say, okay, today I'll practice this. Today I'll, So if I have this routine of my mind, so we always have a routine for the body, routine for the role at job, that this is the project, that is the project. But in the same way, if I keep a routine for the mind, that today I want to explore detachment from the body, for example. Tomorrow I want to explore detachment from relations. Then third day I want to explore detachment from situations. Then fourth day I want to explore detachment from my bad habits or old sanskars, nature. So it's like if I give a task to the mind, then the mind is busy in that. Then it is not absorbed in the nitty-gritties of other things. So even if I'm meeting people outside, but if this internal work is going on, then I'll be free. And the example here is just like a duck. Duck floats in the water very easily, but it also paddles with the feet internally. And so the duck externally is very happy, but that inner work is going on. So that schedule of the inner work is important. So let me not just let my mind loose. Give it some food to churn on, to think on. Then it helps me for me. Yeah. Does that answer, Aditi, your question? Yeah. Sure. Thank you. Anyone else you would like to hear from others? Sab thoda hello bole, Om Shanti. Can everyone say Om Shanti and hello to everyone?
Om Shanti. So one question on behalf of someone else.
Okay.
It is like I know a person. She says that she has that habit कि अगर कोई कुछ बोलता है तो she is very intuitive. She knows कि आगे बंदा क्या बोलने वाला है. So before letting the person complete sentence, she will jump into it and she will give her comments. So then she only feels, that was wrong. I should have kept quiet. I should have listened, and then I should have said something. So how to overcome such habits? Because detachment is needed here also.
Oh yeah, that's a good point, because as you said, the art of listening is so important. Many a times we don't listen, and actually listening is an act of love. This is a very kind act, noble act, just to listen to someone, because people in the world, they feel they're not listened to properly. So the moment what happens is, if I'm listening from the ego perspective, now when the ego is listening, then the ego actually starts an inner commentary automatically. An ego doesn't empathize with the other soul. An ego wants to prove himself right, defend himself. That's how the ego behaves. But the soul actually looks at the soul, tries to look at where the soul is coming from. What does the soul need? And so to have that vision of empathy that allows me to listen to the other person. Because otherwise, again, these thoughts of, cutting or giving my opinion comes. But the more I develop feelings of empathy towards the other being, as if they are my brother, they are my friend, and with the intention of genuinely to help the other person, or to connect them to God, then it automatically we start to listen to the other person. That's what I feel. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. So let's just hear hello from everyone. Just here, maybe Anuben. Hello, you want to say hello? Anuben is from Michigan. She has joined us. You can just unmute and say hello to everyone. Nice to hear your voice. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sorry, brother. I wasn't wearing my eyeglasses.
Oh, no problem.
Keep them somewhere so I could see.
Yeah.
No, I have been listening to your to the whole talk. I did not just join in, but maybe I can ask you, since I'm talking to you. We don't have time, so maybe I can ask you some other time, brother.
Acha.
Yeah, but this was a beautiful, beautiful talk. We really enjoyed it.
Thank you for your presence. No, thank you.
Thank you so much. Yeah, Om Shanti.
Thank you. Thank you. Anuban is from Michigan, and who else has joined us? Coach Ben, you're from Michigan as well. Om Shanti, welcome. Siroj Bhatia. And there's another number from Ann Arbor. I'm seeing. Welcome to you. Don't know who that is, but welcome to your invisible presence. And, we have Khushbu Ben from Columbus, Greenwood. Welcome, Khushbu Ben. And,
hi, Saurabh. It was a great, talk and really enlightening. Thank you so much, Om Shanti.
Thank you, Om Shanti. Very nice. We had a blessing. Let me, since not all of us are here, I'll just read out one blessing to everyone. One second. So this is a blessing, and it says, in all your activities and practical life, you're an inspiring example for others. So all of us are examples that God has chosen all of us to inspire everyone. So thank you, and let's hear from everyone. Maybe everyone's voice. Is that Sandhya Ben? Om Shanti, Sandhya Ben?
Om Shanti, Saurabh.
Om Shanti. Thank you. Thank you for joining. And
I like the thought of guest and host. Like we are the guest of this life of drama and host of divine energy.
Nice.
Thank you, family.
Thank you. And we have an angel from India, Nilotpal Ji, Nilotpal Roy, Brother Nilotpal. Welcome. Would you like to just say hello? Yeah, Om Shanti.
Thank you to all.
Om Shanti.
Thank you very much for this enlightening talk.
Thank you, Nilotpal.
When you talk about the observer, When we take part in the drama, then we take part in a passionate way. But when you're observing from a distance, when you're helicoptering, then you are doing it in an impassionate way.
Correct.
Possibly detached observer is like observing in an impassionate way.
Very nice. Observing in impassionate way. Very nice. Yeah, not to be very passionate about it. Yeah, very nice. Thank you. Thank you. And Rekha Ben, Om Shanti. Rekha.
Om Shanti.
Om
Thank
Shanti.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your deep discussion on this. Love it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Om Shanti.
Om Shanti. And we heard from everyone else, I believe. Any final thoughts anyone would like to share? Who's that BS? Would you like to share? I think that's Om Shanti. Don't know who that BS. Maybe the invisible guest. And who else? Great. Great. So next week we have a real treat. We have Sister Wadi from Miami who will join us, and she will share her experiences with Dadi Janki. She has been very, very close to Dadi Janki for a long time, and she will share her experience. The topic is I know how to live, I know how to die. How to live and how to die. So that's the topic she will cover. And so you're most welcome to join. We'll share the details soon. And we'll also planning to start an introductory meditation course, maybe on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, 3 days. We'll send out that information as well. So thank you, all the angels. And, Om